Chapter 4, Lecture.
Good morning. Let's go ahead and get started. So today we're going to talk about how technology is changing the music industry. We're going to talk about how the ways in which music is recorded, promoted, and distributed have really changed. Then I'd like to talk about some of the legal issues, copyright issues that come with some of these changes. And these raise questions about how to deal with those issues, whether you can really protect against copyright infringement, and how much effort you should put into protecting copyright, okay? So that's what we'll cover today. First, I'd like to point out that the overall major change has been the democratization of all the aspects of the music industry. What I mean is, any member of the general public with a relatively new computer, common software, and high-speed access to the internet has the tools needed to create, distribute, and promote music. So let's start by taking a look at the making of music. Now, many of the computers nowadays come with the tools of a professional recording studio. And the musicians themselves can learn how to use these user-friendly programs and make their own high-quality, really innovative sound recordings. A musician no longer needs a recording contract, money from a recording company to make high-quality recordings. In fact, you don't even need to be a musician to make music. And as you can imagine, this results in quite a few more recording artists out there now. Now, you're probably thinking that with so much music out there, does it make it harder to promote your work so people know about it? Well, not really, because music promotion has been democratized too. On the internet, anyone can be a critic. People post reviews on lots of different music sites such as Amazon.com, Rhapsody.com, and there are also thousands of weblogs, blogs, where people give their opinions on music and where musicians can talk about their music. Many people even create their own audio blogs, radio shows you can download for free. So really, now anyone can be a DJ. These tools for promotion used to belong only to the big music industry companies. But now, they've gone from being in the hands of a few to being in the hands of the many. So, we've talked about how making music and promoting music has been democratized. Now let's look at distribution. Now you probably know that this is the area that has raised a lot of controversy in the past few years. How people get and share music. We all know that digital downloads of MP3 files are now, really becoming one of the most popular ways to get new music for personal use. There are many sites where you can buy single songs or whole albums. Do they still call them that? Maybe I should say collections. I don't know, anyhow. Most people who are downloading music do it by file sharing. File sharing, a peer-to-peer network, sometimes called a P2P network. Now, this is a type of internet network that lets its users connect and access files on each other's computers. In other words, sharing music with your friends and families is something that has been going on a long time. But now, you can share your music with people all over the world. You don't need to know them. And this is why it's caused so much controversy. There are legal gray areas about all this file sharing, but most of it is illegal. It violates copyright. Copyright, the U.S. laws and international agreements on ownership and rights to distribute. In this case, intellectual property in the digital environment. So the bottom line here is the same tools that make music easier to record, promote, and distribute also make it easier to steal. But who is breaking the law? Who should be punished or restricted? Should the makers of file sharing software or file sharing websites be punished? After all, peer-to-peer networks can be used in legal ways. So that means restricting the use of these networks could make legal distribution of information and music much more difficult. But really, let's be realistic. Even though there are legal ways to use these networks, it's important to note that currently 90% of music downloaded at these types of sites violates copyright. In other words, P2P networks are popular and make money because people are using them to trade music illegally. Now take a look at these statistics. You don't need to write these down. They won't be on the test. Okay. In 2005, in the US, 60 million people used file sharing networks. 2.5 billion music files are traded every month. And though many types of files were traded, that's images, videos, software, 75% of the files were music. These facts raise a lot of questions about copyright in music. How can we stop or at least reduce copyright infringement? This is where the companies that make the technology and the companies and people that make the music disagree. Let me explain. Okay, the music companies and many musicians believe that we need to restrict file sharing on the internet more. They feel companies that make it easy to share files illegally and make money from it should not be allowed to operate. And they want file sharing technology companies to install security devices that make it harder to copy and share music. Now this is important, not only to protect their companies, but also the artists who write and perform the music. Who will pay the artists for the music if the companies aren't selling? Don't they deserve to be paid for their work? They don't want people to be able to share files without paying for it. But on the other hand, the file sharing sites and technology companies that develop this technology, they say it's wrong to restrict all uses of the technology just to protect copyright. Do you see their argument? They want this free flow of information, this sharing of ideas and information on the internet, which they say, well, is what's led to some of the most recent technological advances in the world. Restricting internet sharing, they argue, will not just limit file sharing, but limit innovation as well. Then there's this whole other group of people who feel that there is really nothing you can do to seriously reduce copyright infringement. People will continue to do it because they can. And we need to look to new models for how to pay artists and the companies that support them. That restricting file sharing just won't work. So, these are the issues that we'll be discussing in our study groups later, okay? First, how has the way you listen to and buy music changed in recent years? What do you think about music file sharing? And what can we do, if anything, to reduce copyright infringement when it comes to file sharing? Okay? So, that's it for today. I'll see you later for these study groups.